The park was nearly empty on Tuesday afternoon, just a few parents scattered across benches while their kids played. Marcus Webb pushed his daughter's wheelchair along the paved path, pointing out birds and clouds, trying to make her smile. "Look, Maya, a cardinal, your favorite." Maya's eyes tracked toward the red bird, and her lips curved slightly. The best smile she could manage since the accident 6 months ago. At 7 years old, she'd been hit by a drunk driver while crossing the street. Traumatic brain injury. The doctors said she might never walk or talk again, but Marcus refused to believe it. Every day after his construction job, he brought Maya to the park for fresh air and therapy exercises the insurance wouldn't cover. He talked to her constantly, moved her limbs gently, believed with everything he had that she was still in there. "Daddy," Maya whispered. One of only 3 words she could say now. The other 2 were no and hurt. "I'm right here, baby girl." Marcus squeezed her hand. They were near the playground when he heard it. A child crying. Not the regular playground tears, but panicked, pain-filled sobbing. Marcus turned to see a little girl, maybe 8 years old, crumpled at the base of the slide. She was trying to pull herself up with her arms, but her legs weren't cooperating. Her expensive-looking leg braces had come unfastened, twisted at odd angles. A woman was running toward her, designer clothes, phone in hand, face white with terror. "Sophie, don't move, baby, don't move! I'm calling 911! "Wait," Marcus called out, his construction site voice carrying across the playground. He locked Maya's wheelchair and jogged over. "I might be able to help, may I?" The woman looked at him, this stranger in work clothes covered in drywall dust, and something in her face shifted from panic to desperate hope. "Please." Her braces came undone when she fell. "I don't know how to fix them without hurting her." Marcus knelt beside the crying girl. "Hey, Sophie, I'm Marcus. I know you're scared, but I'm going to help, okay? My daughter uses a wheelchair, so I know about medical equipment." Sophie's sobs quieted slightly, her eyes a striking blue, focusing on him through tears. "I'm going to check your braces very carefully. Tell me if anything hurts." Marcus examined the twisted metal and plastic with gentle, practiced hands. He'd learned so much about medical equipment in the past 6 months. Wheelchairs, braces, adaptive devices. This particular brace system was complex, the kind that cost thousands of dollars, designed for a specific mobility disorder. The left brace had come completely unfastened when Sophie fell, and the right one was torqued at a dangerous angle. If moved wrong, it could damage her knees or hips. "Okay," Marcus said calmly. "Sophie, I need you to stay very still. Mom—" "Victoria," the woman said, her voice shaking. "Victoria, I need you to support her upper body while I realign these braces. Sophie, this might feel weird, but it shouldn't hurt if we do it right." For the next 10 minutes, Marcus worked with the focused intensity of a surgeon, carefully repositioning the braces, checking alignment, making sure nothing was pinched or twisted. Sophie whimpered, but stayed still, trusting him completely. "There," Marcus said finally, fastening the last buckle. "Try moving your foot, Sophie, just a little." Sophie flexed her ankle. "It doesn't hurt?" "Good, but we should still have a doctor check you over. You took a hard fall." Victoria was crying openly now. "Thank you. Oh my God, thank you. I've been so terrified of something like this happening. Her cerebral palsy means her muscles are already weak, and if those braces had damaged her joints—" She couldn't finish. "I understand." Marcus helped Sophie sit up carefully. "Maya, my daughter, she has different challenges, but I know that fear, every day worrying about what could go wrong." Victoria looked over at Maya in her wheelchair, taking in the child's twisted posture, the blank expression that Marcus knew hid so much awareness. "How old is she?" 7. Car accident 6 months ago. Brain injury." Marcus's voice was steady, but Victoria heard the ocean of pain beneath it. "I'm so sorry." Victoria meant it. "Is she getting therapy?" "Some. Insurance ran out after 3 months. I do what I can at home, exercises, stretches, talking to her constantly. The doctors say she's unlikely to improve, but I don't accept that." Neither would I. Victoria pulled out her phone. I'm going to call my driver to bring the car around, but first, please, let me get your contact information. I'd like to properly thank you. That's not necessary. It absolutely is. Victoria's tone shifted. This was someone used to getting what she wanted. What you just did required knowledge, skill, and compassion. That deserves recognition. Reluctantly, Marcus gave her his number. Victoria's driver arrived, an actual chauffeur in a black Mercedes, and helped Sophie into the car. As they prepared to leave, Victoria turned back. Marcus Webb, she said, looking at the information he'd written down. I'm going to be in touch, soon. Marcus nodded politely, certain he'd never hear from her again. Rich people always said things like that. He was wrong. 2 days later, his phone rang from an unknown number. Mr. Webb, this is Victoria Harrington, Sophie's mother. Do you have a moment? Marcus stepped away from his construction site. Is Sophie okay? She's perfect, thanks to you. The doctor said if those braces had been left twisted, she could have had permanent joint damage. You saved her from months of painful recovery. Victoria paused. I've been thinking about Maya, about what you said about insurance running out. I'd like to help. Miss Harrington, I can't accept charity. It's not charity. It's gratitude. And honestly, it's selfish. I can't stand the thought of a little girl not getting treatment she needs when I have the resources to help. Victoria's voice grew firm. I'm the CEO of Harrington Pharmaceuticals. I have connections to the best rehabilitation specialists in the country. Let me arrange an evaluation for Maya. No cost, no strings, just one parent helping another. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Why would you do this? Because 6 years ago, Sophie was born 3 months premature with cerebral palsy. The doctors said she'd never walk. But I had money, resources, access to experimental treatments. And now she can walk with braces, attend regular school, live a relatively normal life. Victoria's voice cracked. You gave Sophie back her mobility when her braces failed. Let me give Maya a chance at the recovery you believe she can have. Marcus looked over at Maya, sitting in her wheelchair in the apartment, his mother watching her while he worked. Okay, he whispered. Okay. 3 weeks later, Marcus sat in the office of Dr. Reeves, one of the country's top pediatric neurologists, at a rehabilitation center that looked more like a luxury hotel than a hospital. Maya's brain shows significant plasticity, Dr. Reeves explained, pointing to scans. She's processing language, tracking movement, trying to respond. With intensive therapy, physical, occupational, speech, I believe she could regain substantial function. Maybe not everything she had before, but more than the previous doctors predicted. What would that cost? Marcus asked, afraid of the answer. Ms. Harrington has established a treatment fund in Maya's name, full coverage for as long as she needs it. Marcus put his face in his hands and wept. Victoria, who'd been sitting quietly in the corner, came over and placed a hand on his shoulder. You gave my daughter a miracle when her braces failed. Let me give your daughter a chance. The therapy was intensive, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. Victoria arranged for Marcus to take leave from his construction job, paying his salary herself so he could be with Maya during treatment. She visited regularly, bringing Sophie to encourage Maya, creating a friendship between the two girls. Progress was slow. Then one day, 3 months into therapy, Maya spoke. Daddy, love you. 3 words, 3 perfect, beautiful words. Marcus sobbed. The therapists cheered, and Victoria, watching from the observation window with Sophie, broke down crying. Why are you crying, Mommy? Sophie asked. Because miracles are real, baby. Because a kind man helped us when we needed it, and now we get to help him back. Because this is what it means to be human. 6 months into treatment, Maya took her first assisted steps. A year later, she walked across the therapy room into her father's arms. She still had challenges. Her speech was slow, her movements careful. But she was there, present, alive in a way the original doctor said was impossible. At Maya's recovery celebration, Marcus found Victoria on the terrace watching the sunset. "I can never repay you," he said simply. "You already did. The day you helped Sophie, you showed me what actually matters. Not wealth or success, but showing up for people who need help." Victoria smiled. "Besides, Sophie and Maya are best friends now. You can't put a price on that. She calls you Auntie Victoria. And I consider Maya my second daughter." Victoria's eyes glistened. "You know what the real miracle is? Not Maya's recovery, as wonderful as that is. It's that you stopped to help a stranger's child when you had every reason to just walk past. You were dealing with your own tragedy, your own pain, and you still had compassion to spare. That's the real miracle, Marcus. That's what changed everything." Marcus looked through the window at Maya and Sophie, playing a board game together, both girls laughing, one in a wheelchair, one in braces, both fully alive and present and loved. "Thank you," he said, "for seeing us, for helping her, for everything. Thank you for reminding me what my wealth is actually for. Not bigger houses or fancier cars, but this, giving children back their futures, helping families survive impossible situations, making miracles possible." 2 years later, Maya started 3rd grade, still with challenges, still in therapy, but walking, talking, reading, living. And Marcus had a new job managing the accessibility program at Harrington Pharmaceuticals, making sure other families got the help his had received. Because sometimes a single dad gives a billionaire's daughter a miracle by fixing her braces in a playground. And sometimes that billionaire gives his daughter a miracle right back. And sometimes the real miracle is simply two parents, from completely different worlds, showing up for each other's children with compassion, resources, and the absolute refusal to accept that some kids don't deserve every chance possible. That's the miracle that changes everything.